Rachel here. Welcome to my Slow TV Stitchery. Well, good morning everybody. I'm quite pleased, I think, with the progress of this particular experiment, my second fishy. I'm not entirely sure that I'm getting all of my details exactly right, but I think it's close enough, and I'm certainly getting the sense of something seen through refraction, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm just going to add now, not that one, that's much too far out, but even that one's a stretch. And that's also too much of a stretch. In actual fact, just when I was really pleased with the progress of this experiment, and I was thinking to myself how lovely it is when a plan comes together, I had a thought. I wish I wouldn't do that. It's always very dispiriting when the thought takes this particular form. This seen through refraction only works if you're looking at your animal through the interface between the water and the air. If you're looking through water, just water, and not water and air or water and glass, you don't get the same broken outline. So if I use this idea for the frame for Placidus, then my bottom edge of the frame will be looking down through the water at the animals, while the two upright edges and the horizontal one at the top will all just be looking through air. And I think that might ruin the impression a little. So, having come up with this wonderful idea which seems to be working, I may not be able to use it after all, or at least not in this context. Never mind. I think it's fair to say that this year is going to be designated my year of experiments. So even just performing the experiment has something going for it. I did wonder whether I should start working the other side of my blue flow. I'll certainly need to undo the green sewing thread and start doing that soon. But I think finishing one side is probably preferable. We had a glorious day yesterday, and today I'm wrapped up in woolies and woolly jumpers and gloves. Never mind, the daffodils are out, we've seen the muscari and the crocuses, spring is on its way. That was right. There we are. It has occurred to me that one single line of flow this one line is fine for this small section, but it wouldn't work so well for a panel maybe half as deep again, but 2 or 3 feet wide. Water doesn't flow like that, apparently, apart from anything else. So need to find somewhere to look at flowing water. There were some lovely Leonardo sketches came to visit us, one of the local museums, a few years ago now, and there was one tiny sketch. Right. He got a lot on a page. There were some big impressive things, and then there were pages with 3 or 4 entirely unrelated things sketched upon them. There was one in particular of a flow of water in a stream, and it looked almost like braided hair. It was so complex. So I find myself thinking, do I need, in fact, if I use this technique, do I need to have something as complicated as that? And how do I get the impression of sufficient complication without creating something too complex to make visual sense? One of the things that I learnt when I was working on the Camberwell is that it's all very well, sailor's granddaughter, great-granddaughter and great-niece that I am, to want to represent the rigging correctly. But in actual fact, that's very difficult when you don't really understand why the ropes that you're seeing are doing what they're doing and what they're connected to, because what they're connected to is out of view, and you might put something wrong by a couple of millimeters on an embroidered piece and end up with your ship looking just off, and you don't know why, but it's just off. So in the end, I, shall we say, edited the rigging on the Camberwell to produce something which looked like rigging. She wasn't a sailing ship after all. Something that looked like rigging without actually being too confusing. At least I hope. So when it comes to suggesting a flowing stream, I need enough eddies and swirls to to suggest a flowing stream, but at the same time not so many that the sense of flow is lost. And I really have no idea how I'm going to go about that. If I had decided that this year was going to be the year I tackled Placidus in great detail and finished him, I would by now be a complete wreck, because I don't have a clear enough idea to start. As it is, I have designated this year the year of experiments. So we may see something fabulous happening. I may get the whole thing come together in my head and rejoice and get started. But I'm not exactly holding my breath for that to happen. No, that's wrong. One thing that I have learned is that I need to stop being so creative with my changes of stitch length. It is useful sometimes in Bargello to alter stitch length as well as stitch overlap. But I have to say, in this particular case, I think it helps rather less than you might hope. And I'm not sure that it's really helped with adapting the flow of the pattern. So I think it's one of those occasions when the complication in working that it adds isn't sufficiently counterbalanced, shall we say, by the improvement in the general flow and appearance. And however much I think I'm making sense of it, I still haven't found an easy way of making my stranded cotton behave. If I'm going to do 4 substantially sized panels, I'm going to have to acquire some tricks, even if I have to invent them for myself. That's all for this session. I hope you enjoyed following along. Happy stitching!